2 weeks after the return of the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NASCAR is back, and once again, we're back at the Richmond International Raceway.
La reina de la noche, la diosa del vudú.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah, the last time we came here earlier this year for the Pontiac Excitement 400 for that Easter Sunday matinee that we were just pumping up because we were excited that Richmond was at night again, the shit didn't fucking work. Translation, it was a fucking disaster class. Watch and listen. Let's just start off with the basics. Awful officiating, that BS Kyle Busch caution that really shouldn't have been a caution. Totally reminds me of that Winston All-Star race in 2022 at Texas Motor Speedway with the whole Stenhouse Blaney shebang like Ricky Martin. And then we had the Larson spin with 2 to go after contact with Bubba Wallace that set up another, horrible officiating call on that final restart. Then you had Larson and Bubba fans dogging each other on social media who was at fault for causing the wreck of that caution. And then the whole shebang like Ricky Martin with the imposter Brett Bodine's number jumping the restart, which is borderline in my opinion. And as a result, this grade A horseshit combined gives us an angry Truex on the cooldown lap post-race, playing bumper cars with the 2 drivers he feel who wronged him at the end of what was a hot Easter Sunday matinee mess. Hamlin for he presumably jumping the restart, which in my opinion, speaking for myself, is borderline. I don't think he jumped the restart, but if he did, okay, fine. Then I can agree to disagree. But the whole Larson thing was just, them wanting to tango on the last lap, where I think, I don't know who started the whole thing, but it appeared that, one put the other into the wall and they did not appreciate one another doing what they did to each other. I don't even know what to say about this anymore. Who started this was 5 months ago. So let's not forget, for months we were pumping this shit up going into that weekend that included an epic prologue that was a hell of a lot better than this Easter Sunday shit show that we ended up getting that night.
5 months later.
They put both Richmond races at night again this year, just like it was during the Winston Cup days in the Gen 4 era. So could you really blame me for getting nostalgically excited? Because I will admit I have a habit of sipping that My Tradition juice because of how old I am. But anyway, moving on, we got the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 at Richmond later on tonight. And most important of all, there's new tire options, hopefully in this short track package in terms of helping it improve. That'll be making its debut tonight. And don't say NASCAR is not trying when it comes to trying to improve the short track package to make the racing better, because you can't say they're not trying, because they actually are. It's just shit hasn't worked yet. And something that my mom would always say, it's a work in progress, so give them time. Alex Trebek once said it's never a straightforward affair, meaning it doesn't happen overnight. This right here, however, this latest update with this tire option package is a damn good thing. As much as we like to clown on modern NASCAR for making the sport as a whole the shit show that it is today, at least most of the time, this proves right here that even in such circumstance that they are firm but fair when they choose to be. So they made a good compromise to the teams and, allowing them to use these option tires whenever they feel like it in case there's wet weather. But if there's no wet weather, I guess that's a good thing too, and they can use them regardless. Alrighty, I hope that was a hell of an opening cutscene as like a little prologue before we get into the actual preview. Hey YouTube, what's going on? Mark here. Happy Sunday to all and happy NASCAR race day at the Richmond International Raceway. We got the Pontiac, the Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 tonight at 6 o'clock. I went to bed not too early but not too late last night, as late as 5:30, 6 o'clock maybe. At least I didn't wait till way past that to go to sleep, to the point where I would have been sleeping all day, and by the time it would have been time for me to get up, the race would have already been in the middle, already in progress. I would have been forced to let it also stay up here and miss it all, because there's no point in me tuning in case I've missed a lot. But I'm not really expecting too much anyway, regardless. But at the same time, I do have high hopes for for this race because the tire option, package or the tire compound, this tire package to hopefully work with the short track package to improve on it. I like that NASCAR's working on improving the short track package. Now if they could do the same shit with the road course package, that would be great. But so far as we'll cross that bridge when we get there in the chase when my ex-favorite driver in NASCAR, Juan Montoya, returns at the series at the Glen. But until then, as for tonight, I am not holding my breath because the last time we had high hopes for a race at Richmond International Raceway, which to be fair, like the intro said, could you really blame me for being as old as I am, always sipping that My Tradition juice? Like, how excited I was that Richmond was at night again, just like in the Winston Cup Gen 4 days. And, I was so nostalgic to the point where I was pumping it up. I even did a Richmond Prologue for the Pontiac Excitement 400 on Easter on May 31st, which you want to go look at that, and as well as the race review. Link is in the description. We were pumping that shit up months in advance going into that weekend, and that prologue we did that day before was a hell of a lot better than the race itself the next night. It ended up being a complete dud. So yeah, the last time we were pumping up a race or let alone had high hopes, we were looking forward to a race that we were really excited for, and it ended up being a stinker. So I hope that's been the norm. Like every time I'm excited for a race, it ends up being bad, or at least average, or as the youngsters like to say, like even the ones I am friends with in real life, meh. So therefore, I want this tradition to break eventually. It's only a matter of time. I mean, there's so many races in the past I had high hopes for. They turned out to be stinkers, but that's a story for another day, another video. But anyway, this Richmond International Raceway preview. It's no surprise that, the imposter in Brett Bodine's number we call Denny Hamlin or Dennis, ended up getting the pull because he's always been really, really good at Richmond, including the 2008 Pontiac Excitement 400, where he damn near led every lap until with 8 to go or something. He lost the tire, and that's what lost him the race, and then that's what gave us the drama at the end with, Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch, where Kyle Busch became public enemy number 1 for wrecking the most popular driver in NASCAR. So, therefore, could you really blame, even though it was a typical Robbins race in DL kiting, Bush just washed up the track, and when he went to correct it, Junior happened to be there. But, Junior fans for 2008 standards, considering he had just left his father's race on the team to go to Hendrick, all that whole mumbo jumbo with Teresa and the 8 and everything, and him borrowing the 88 from Robert Yates to keep it, considering there was a lot of other options he wanted to choose from, but he wanted to use 28, but Robert Yates said no. But that's a whole another tangent for another time. Well, Dale Jr. fans didn't think that, so of course I'm going to blame him for causing the wreck. But shit happens. What can you do? But at the same time, I can understand why Junior fans were upset and why Kyle Busch became the most hated driver. After that, he was the most hated driver alongside Jimmy Johnson for a while because Jimmy was winning too much. And I was one of those people who hated Jimmy, one of those hundreds and thousands of people. Kyle Busch, considering I'm thankfully never been a Junior fan, has never really bothered me in any major capacity. Now, there's that thing I wanted to talk about with Kyle Busch, which I found out about it on social media. It turns out that Kyle Busch ended up, injuring his wrist during his wreck at the Brickyard 400 2 weeks ago with 3 laps to go, I think it was. And the 2-week break did save his ass. No wonder why he kept it a secret until way later, to the point where NASCAR can't do shit about it now. Considering, had we not had the 2-week break and kept racing, he would have been sitting out. So the 2-week break gave his wrist enough time to heal 100%, come back just in time for tonight's Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400. So thank the racing gods for giving us a 2-week break, for the Olympics, so Kyle Busch could rest that wrist and get it back to 100% health or even 110% health. So therefore, NASCAR would not have allowed him to race with that thing. It's like, wow. I mean, that next gen car, you got to be careful with it, because remember how in 2022 people were getting injured in it and didn't know how to take the blunt force of anything properly, or what I mean by that is didn't know how to take impacts properly. Alex Bowman, Cody Ware, as much as I don't like him, Kurt Busch's career ender. I mean, there was somebody else too that got hurt in that next gen car. I always forget that fourth person, but eventually have to come back to me. I'll have to look this up to find out so I can do this in a future video. But I remember there was a lot of people that were pissed about that next gen car in 2022, how it was injuring people. I think if I remember correctly, there was like 4 full-time drivers that missed time due to injuries. That was the most since 2001. I remember people like What If Racing were like ranting during that Nuclear Dickies 500 Texas rant review. Did somebody have to fucking die for them to do something? Because that's how NASCAR always used to be. It used to be where they didn't do shit about any of these safety concerns with all these drivers getting hurt and everything until someone died. And when someone died, they eventually changed something. You know, not just, you know, Dale Sr., but, you know, Adam Petty, Kenny Irwin Jr., Tony Roper, J.D. McDuffie. You know, people who actually died on the racetrack, they ended up doing something where NASCAR, as far as Winston Cup, Busch, and Craftsman Truck, and even NASCAR Remix, has not had a single fatality since 2001, but not NASCAR as a whole sport outside of those 3 popular ones, like the less popular ones. What most people forget, because NASCAR wants to make them forget, they want to sweep it under the rug like it never happened because nobody watches the Mexico Series, is Carlos Pardo in 2000. So I want to tip my hat to Black Flags Matter for making a video addressing this, because there was a YouTube comment I read before I found that video, even before he made that video, that, you know, the last NASCAR fatality or just, you know, stock car fatality in general was not Dale Earnhardt Sr. Blaze Alexander 2001. NASCAR makes it out to be that way because they want to flex on their record. But someone mentioned Carlos Pardo, and even in between that comment and Black Flags Matter's video, I looked it up and the comment was right. And then right after I looked it up, Black Lives Matter, boom, made that video. So therefore, you know, the last fatality in NASCAR, and it was not Earnhardt Sr. Daytona or Blaze Alexander in Charlotte in '01. It was Carlos Pardo in '09. So usually when someone died, they would have to change something. But I am glad we kind of like moved on from that in 2022, and the next gen cars make a slight improvement. I mean, like Fly Guy Only says, shout out to my man Tyrone Bickham's Fly Guy Only 773. He tells it like it is, just like, you know, Disco Inferno 70L. Shout out to those two, as those Black Lives Matter, for like showing these pieces of history that NASCAR wants you to forget, or these fans don't want some of these, you know, low attention span fans, or as like Disco would say, lemmings, don't want you to hear. You know, oh my God, what was I was saying? Okay, now I remember. All right, so shout out to Disco Inferno, Fly Guy Only, and Black Flags Matter for bringing up this piece of NASCAR history information that NASCAR doesn't want you to hear or know, or fans don't want you to, like, you know, talk about and tell like it is. No car is ever going to be perfect. I mean, as much as we like to, us millennials like to romanticize about Gen 4, you know, during the Winston Cup days, that wasn't perfect either. I mean, we all know Gen 5 had a shitload of problems, but, you know, it was, you know, in some ways it was good too. Gen 6 had its problems, but in some ways it was good too. It's the Gen 7. No matter what car you bring out, hell, Gen 8 could come out 10 years from now, like a whole, by the time I turned 40 years old, and yet it still wouldn't be a perfect car. You could change whatever you want and make a lot of good changes, but it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. I mean, you're saying nobody's perfect. Well, not only that, nothing's perfect either. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. Like, it's not how the world works, and it's not how life works, and the world and life will never work like that. It's the same in sports, NASCAR, the NBA, and all that other bullshit. So, therefore, but as far as the race goes tonight, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not saying that the tire compound makes a difference, and shout out to that one Menard fan, you know, who I just started following recently. He did mention in a YouTube comment of mine in a reply video on his video roasting She That Shall Not Be Named. Even though personally, I've never had any personal issues with her. So, I mean, give myself a round of applause, I guess. Kudos to me, I guess. Take a bow. But anyway, he said that Richmond has never been a bad track. And I agree with that. And the fact that, yeah, I can agree it's never been a bad track. But I think, you know, the fact that he said, you know, in terms of the racing product, I can't remember exactly what he said or how he said it. Well, I can understand that in some capacity. okay, fine, it's not a track problem, but at the same time, to be fair, that track has lost its excitement after the 2016 Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400 at the same race in 2016 when Newman and Tony Stewart had the little, tango, and Newman roasted him in his post-track interview during the red flag, if y'all remember that, And after that, other than, a solid 2020 Monte Carlo 400 pandemic race with no fans, and then a 2021 Pontiac Excitement 400 with, limited attendance in terms of the fans in the grandstands, and, a vaccine, a COVID vaccine race where, it was during the vaccine season. Those Richmond races prove that you do not need a dozen crashes, 20 cautions, and an interesting, crazy, exciting winner to have a good race. I mean, some races can be like that, but, other than that, the racing product, no matter the package at Richmond, hasn't been all that great. I know it's put a lot of people to sleep. It's bored people out of their mind. I mean, the Pontiac Excitement 400 earlier this year wasn't interesting except for the strategies. The strategy was kind of making it interesting. I mean, other than the strategies in terms of on-track excitement, yeah, we've not had that since the 2016 Chevrolet Monte Carlo 400. Aside from the 2020 pandemic, no fans version of the 2021 vaccine limited fans, Pontiac Excitement version. But yeah, so therefore, I think that's the reason why most fans and myself included, talk down on Richmond, because it's been, the terms of the on-track excitement, it's been a much real dud in recent years since, the 2017 Pontiac Excitement 400. So maybe the tire option will change that. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath, so I'm not saying for sure it's going to change. I'm just hoping it does change it, maybe a little bit. So if it does show signs of any improvement or making a difference, then we're taking a step in the right direction. I'm not sure who's going to win this race because, this is why I never bet or make predictions, because usually 95% of the time it blows up in my face. But the ones to watch, I could see, as much as I don't like him as a driver, but do as a person, Denny is pretty good here at Richmond. He's really pretty good at Richmond. Pretty damn good at Richmond. So watch for him to get a Richmond sweep or something. Of course, we have the usual suspects like Larson, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, all that shebang like Ricky Martin. So I really can't tell you who my pick to win this race is. I can't ever tell you that with anything. But the last thing I'm going to say is I'm going to have 7 drivers to root for. Austin, John Hunter, Ty, Gregson, Hemrick, Zane Smith, and of course, most important of all, Riley Herb. So I'm going to have my hands full just like I did in the Pontiac Excitement, except it was 6 drivers back then. Now it's 7. So that's where I'm going to end this preview. So I hope you guys enjoy the race tonight for those who are watching. And I hope you guys look forward to my race review later on tonight. So until we get to the race tonight and then the race review after that, I will see you all later tonight. And I'm not going to do my regular intro right now, but this is outro right now because this is my first video of the day. So therefore, I'm making another one today of the race review. So no need for me to do my regular outro. It's something I haven't done in a video in a long time because I've not made 2 videos in terms of chronological order in one day, and God knows how long. So anyway, that'll do it for me. I look forward to the race tonight. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's hope we do not get as big of a shit show like we did back in the springtime during Easter Sunday with the Pontiac Excitement 400 that night, March 31st. Anyway, catch you all later on tonight for the race review.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.